All right, we are breaking down another one of your Dynasty football teams. Now, if you want your team to be in contention for this video series, join our Discord with the link in the description and submit your team. Make sure you do it in the screenshots like we have pinned in that chat.
That's right.
In the Dynasty team grades section. We cannot promise you that we will grade your team, but we always look through it and we try and find one that we feel like we can really help out. And today we are looking at Johnny D's team.
Come on, baby.
All right. Johnny_D's. Context, he says, crossroads. Okay. Buy, sell, or hold with my current team. I don't feel I'm too far away. It would also depend on how things pan out early in the season. So you guys can see the team obviously on the screen now. You know, let's go position by position. And if there are ideas that Badake and I have that we can offer, then we will throw them out as we go through each position.
Correct.
How do you feel about these quarterbacks starting off?
Quarterback's fantastic. Dak Prescott, Justin Fields, and Tua tags. I mean, first thing off the bat, the one thing I can think of, sell one of them. See what happens. I mean, you can keep them. I don't mind you keeping them. But why not sell one of these guys? Get a first in the next year's class, or maybe get some depth somewhere else. That's how I'm seeing it. You know, maybe get another RB. You know, maybe try to get a Kenneth Walker out of that. Maybe try to get a true wide receiver too, especially with all the question marks of Debo. People not understanding if Terry is going to be coming in. That's how I view this. If anything, what sounds crazy with the question marks, I would be trying to sell Justin Fields over Tua. As much as I'm a Justin Fields believer, the stability and the way this team is built around Tua, I would rather have in the longevity over Fields. I know that sounds crazy because I do have Justin Fields over Tua, but I think what you can do is have the security maybe, and then sell Fields for a first or for one of these wide receivers, so you can kind of solidify that wide receiver room. That's my thought process on the QB room.
Okay, I don't think we're on the same page there.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't think you should make a single move on this quarterback position because, to be honest,
move forward, do you think he can contend? Because I do believe he can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he can contend.
That's what I wanted to.
And those are the moves I'm gonna tell him to. But I don't think moving Fields and Tua is the move, in my opinion. I mean, you need at least 3 quarterbacks that you can rely on any championship team. And if you're selling Fields, you said for a first. I mean, what are you going to do when Dak goes on bye? What are you going to do if Tua goes on bye? What if Tua doesn't pan out? What if one of these guys gets injured?
Yeah, that's the thing.
And Fields is an elite talent still in my eyes. So Fields, insanely talented prospect. He's going to need time. Tua could be the breakout year for him with all the weapons around him. I don't think you make a move here. The 23 class is stacked and you have 2 picks there. So if one of these quarterbacks don't work out, you can look at the quarterback position next year, but I don't think your team gets better by selling one of these quarterbacks.
Right.
I might have different ideas along the way.
I'm thinking of depth. Yeah, like I'm happy with keeping 2 and having that.
I think there's other ways to add depth to this team, and you can still keep these quarterbacks.
For sure. I think
in a Superflex league, I think these guys are your real pillars long term.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just giving the ideas if you wanted to trade one of these guys. I'm not saying it's solidified. I'm just thinking that's what.
I would say Fields has more trade value in the market, but I would say also Tua's the one who has a hotter seat.
Exactly.
Right now.
I agree.
All right, let's look at the running backs. Surprisingly, really good depth here. I mean, your stars are, Dalvin Cook and Javonte Williams. I'm looking at his team on my phone, by the way.
Yeah.
And then the running backs, I mean, there are, 2 guys on your bench who I think could be plug and plays in Tyler Algier and Ronald Jones this year. So for me, RB isn't a position I think we really need to address, to be honest.
Agreed.
There's an ideal scenario where you could start all 4 of these running backs at one time if they fall into the right scenario. It's probably unlikely, but I mean, that's like a really good position to be in. You should feel really comfortable with your running back room right now. And maybe you could put one of these guys into your flex spot. Maybe Algier becomes a starter and he's giving you 10 points per game. It's not crazy, but you could put him in your flex, here and there. I would say this: if Justin Fields or Tua can take that next step this year, so you just need one of them to hit, and that's why I think it's so important to keep them.
Okay,
just need one of them to hit. Because then next year, you don't have to use that first on a quarterback. You can use it on one of these really good running backs in the class, whether that's Jahmyr Gibbs or Bigsby, or maybe you get lucky and
that
it's
can be
Bijan.
That can be Dalvin's replacement because he's coming to the end, or not coming to the end,
exactly.
but he's getting to that point where it's maybe time to move on, and that'll be perfect.
Or it just helps you extend your window, right? I mean, exactly. You got Dalvin. Who knows how long he's going to be relevant, but you still have that youth being funneled in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you have any other RB ideas. Most of my ideas are here at the wide receiver position.
Yeah,
for him.
and that's for me too. I guess let's move on to the wide receiver. Obviously, you can see Deebo Samuel, Terry, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and Jalen Tolbert.
By the way, just quickly, all of those guys have question marks, right? Will Deebo be back?
Exactly.
Will Terry be back?
Mm-hmm.
Will Amari have Deshaun Watson?
Exactly.
Will Michael Gallup be back from injury? Mm-hmm. Is Jalen Tolbert the wide receiver too? I mean, a lot of question marks here.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I wanted that. That was my thought process on trying to trade one of these quarterbacks to get more solidified wide receivers, because I do believe you can sell a Deebo for value. I do believe maybe you're right. Maybe you don't sell the quarterbacks, and maybe you sell Deebo for someone like a Rashad Bateman and some value. Like you think maybe tier down, and that sounds crazy, right, and get a guy that's coming into his breakout year, because we believe in Rashad Bateman can be that breakout guy. Deebo always struggled with injury. Terry is coming. Is he going to be re-signed?
I would need significant draft capital along with Bateman to
exactly.
Make that move.
So that's what I'm saying. You can tier down, get draft capital, and maybe still get a wide receiver in 2023, depending on that draft capital. You can think of people like a Jerry Jeudy, once again tiering down from Deebo, depending on how you view him. Get draft capital. These are all these guys that Michael Pittman tier down. Tier down, draft capital. All these young guys, and then move forward. It really depends on how you view them, but that's what I was thinking when I was thinking about trying to sell these quarterbacks. But you can even do that with Deebo. You can do that with Terry, because Deebo and Terry are in the same boat.
I would say Deebo's value is if you're going to choose one of them that you want to sell, then Deebo has more value. I think that's an idea. I just look at it a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. I do think if we're telling them that they can win now, Deebo is probably someone you want to hold on to. Right. Because I do think they'll figure it out, but I see where you're coming from. And personally, I want to keep my 23 first because, I think those two picks are really going to, let's say, like I said, Fields or Tua hits, those 23 firsts are really going to fill out the rest of your roster and help you extend this win now window. Mm-hmm. So I have some ideas. Okay. Because I see we have a 23 second round here. I think we need to finesse this pick to help, solidify the flex position and give us a little bit more depth at the wide receiver room. Okay. So let's use that second round pick and let's attach it to Tyler Boyd. Could that get us Allen Robinson? I don't know. It could start the conversation. What I know is that Allen Robinson is being criminally underrated in the trade market right now. What if we attach that 23 second to a Marquez Callaway? Would that get us Allen Robinson? Is there another piece on our team? Can we start the conversation? Can we start the counters going back and forth? Because I think Allen Robinson is a really good trade target for this team. How about Mike Williams? Can I send that 23 second for Mike Williams? Because if the Mike Williams owner is a futuristic team, they should probably do that deal anyway. How about for Cortland Sutton? Exactly. Can I send that 23 second for Cortland Sutton? How about for Brandon Cooks, a guy that you talked about as a trade target? Mm-hmm. And the last thing I was going to say, what about a 23 second and Michael Gallup for Mike Evans? I mean, that could really sure up your flex position there. So those are a bunch of ideas I just threw out that I don't think they're unrealistic, because when I put them, I hate trade calculators, but I try and use them for this show to make sure that what I'm saying isn't crazy. And every trade that I just did, I put in a trade calculator and it said the other side is typically winning. Okay. All right. So technically these are overpays, but I don't think they are. And I think they make sense for both sides if the other team wants, to move on from those players. And I'll say one more thing. If you need to slightly overpay, how about a 23 second and Michael Gallup for Keenan Allen? Okay. Like, these are players. Keenan's 29, Mike last year with Tom. I think we can keep our firsts and improve our starting lineup and our depth at the wide receiver position. Yeah, I agree. And I don't think we need to sell, because like we've talked about with Deebo, I mean, we both think he's going to be back. Am I right?
Yeah, we both think so, yes.
And Terry, we've talked about him being a fantastic buy this year. So really, when you look at the lineup, it's just that Michael Gallup flex position and then more depth. Mm-hmm. I think this team is set to win.
I think so as well. I think it is set to win. You just need that punch in that that flex spot. And you're tied in. Obviously, you hit on Marky Mark. I believe in Cole Kmet. I think you're set in tight end. I think you're set in quarterback. You know, Dalvin and Jameson and not Jameson and Javonte are perfect for you with the depth that you have. I guess it really depends on where you want to move at that wide receiver position, where you want to go there. And I mean, we both gave you some good ideas, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. You know, you absolutely can move Justin Fields. Let's say if you really want to be a win now team, like I'm not opposed to moving Fields for Brady's harder. But what about like Derek Carr in a first? If you can give me Derek Carr in a future first and give me some more, you know, I still have Tua on the bench. I don't want to move Fields if I don't get another quarterback I can rely on
in return. Right.
You know, if I can get Carr, if I can get Rodgers, if I can get Brady in a first, you know, I'm pushing it with Brady, but if I can get another guy to help me win this year and a first, then I'm open to doing that. But you know, otherwise, I think you can hold on that position, and this is a really good team. It really is. I mean,
and the draft capital is great, man. Two first round picks, and we keep saying this. This draft class is deep, so that 23 third, depending on where that's at, is going to be extremely valuable, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. And who knows where those you know the other team's first is that you have? Who knows where that's going to be? But I would say if you're going to move one of these firsts, one of these firsts is from another one of your team, right? Because you have two firsts, so it's from another owner. Is that other owner a win now team? Mm-hmm. You know, so just think about that. If you are going to move those first, I think they're like gold, so I don't want to. But and all the you know trade offers that I suggested, you didn't have to move a first, and I think they're realistic. So I think this is a good team. I give it an A-. I think this team is good. I mean, you know, this team it's not really old. When I look at it, I mean, Andrews isn't old for a tight end. You got Dak, who's, you know, in his prime. He's not even hit 30 yet. Mm-hmm. Fields and Tua, both very young, you know, talented players. Javonte Williams, and then you got the Algier there. Hopefully you can build some youth into that room. Debo, you know,
like
who knows?
It feels comfortable, but at the same time, it's like,
comfortable, yeah.
It feels comfortable at the same time as you're like, oh, okay, like, I hope Debo stays. You know, I hope Terry gets re-signed.
Right.
You know, like, we know
that
talent.
But if Terry doesn't re-sign, is that a bad thing for his career?
Depending on where he goes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if Terry doesn't re-sign and Green Bay's like, hey, here's a 4-year deal. You know?
Here's a 4-year deal without Aaron Rodgers.
I'm just saying, like, he has been playing with...
For sure.
With randoms. Really bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So,
essentially. It makes sense.
Anyway, let us know down below. What are your guys' thoughts? If I'm you, Johnny, obviously I'm looking at the other teams in my league. I'm trying to, you know, am I currently in contention? Mm-hmm. I think you are, without looking at the other teams in your league. And I would go for it this year.
Yeah. Do it, man. Go for it.
It's going to take some finessing. It's going to take a lot of trade offers. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, there are times when I have 9 trade offers that I've sent out just sitting in my inbox.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right, guys, let us know in the comments below what you think of Johnny's team.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch
now,
it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/fantasylandfam.